a small group, we can probably chat. I don't want to talk for all that long, but in a sense, coming out to an event like this, thanks to Jeff and PJ, I get to find my neighbors or my former neighbors here, and that's a lot of fun. And in many respects, that's what prompted the work I did in the Nazin book, but also personal modernisms. Sure, I guess about 13 years ago, I was involved in organizing a conference in Edmonton called Culture and the State, which was a lot of fun. We had 300 people from all over the world show up, and the conversations led to these unusual and unexpected connections. People realizing they were working on the same things, but from totally different perspectives, or working in the same place, but completely unconnected to each other. And at the same time, a lot of what I was working on was material history of literature. So what does it mean if you find something like, a upper-class figure like T.E. Lawrence in his copy of James Joyce's Ulysses? You find it's got food pieces in it, and there's dirty fingerprints and butter smeared on the page. And I got past, I thought that was cool. What does this tell me about how the book's been read? So I started spending a lot of time in archives and looking up what people were writing to each other, where their letters were coming from, not just who was writing to whom, and that just started leading me in peculiar directions. So the piece in the Nazin book, I was looking at a Canadian author named Elizabeth Smart, and she's usually dismissed as writing this over-the-top, quasi-surrealist, emotionally excessive literature, because she must be a hysterical woman. So this is the dismissive approach to Elizabeth Smart. And I started looking more closely, realizing, well, she's in London, surrounded by these peculiar anarchist figures. She's publishing with them. They're all in the same places. She's in Paris, connecting again with all of these other anarchist figures. And then she's writing the book, and she's in California, next to Kenneth Rexroth and Robert Duncan and all these other anarchist figures. How can no one see the political connection in the book? So that became what went into the collection, a small piece of personal modernisms. But things like turning up at a cafe and seeing your neighbors who you've never talked to about anything in the slightest bit political, and never talked to about music, realizing you have these other things in common. I started looking at other authors, whether they were in North Africa, authors in Egypt who were involved in anti-fascist movements, say following the Munich crisis and the Entertainment Kunst exhibition, which is the Nazi degenerate art exhibition. There are these figures in North Africa holding long-lived degenerate art in their salon with a Syrian woman named Amy Nimmer. And lo and behold, these British anarchist authors are floating around. They've been drawn into the war and left in North Africa. Where do they all disperse to? They end up in California. And,
was that real?
Yeah. And they end up in California after the war. Who's there? But Kenneth Rexroth, Robert Duncan, Elizabeth Smart again. Who do they connect with? It's going to be George Woodcock, who's left London and is now on Vancouver Island, squatting essentially. Who comes up for a visit? Herbert Reed. And where are they getting published? Well, before the war, they're getting published out of Shanghai. And of course, it's another anarchist journal that's been done on the opposite side of the planet. So that's what turned into personal modernisms. How did the personal connections amongst these people lead to this ever outward spreading spider web of connections and friendships and personal support, and a politics for them very much of the personal? How do they express their political vision without necessarily engaging in ways that will draw them into other larger structures that they couldn't resist? So there's this huge amount of material we wrote, all about the war, but almost never mentioning the war in any explicit or direct way. So that's what got me into this. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.